Hello, and welcome back to the Murakami Companion podcast, a show inspired by the works of Haruki Murakami, where we analyze his body of work in its entirety. Today we'll be talking about Killing Commendatore, the oddly controversial novel from 2017. Of course, from now on, spoilers. I said oddly controversial because this one was banned or censored in a couple of countries, and honestly, this one, really? I don't agree with any kind of censorship, but I don't understand how from all of Murakami's books, this is the one that gets censored and banned. You can read the synopsis in the back cover, you can read articles about why it was censored. You can look at the cover that looks like it has blood on it. Nothing is going to prepare you for how chill and relaxed this novel is. I was talking to a friend that had read it, and she made the point that it is the perfect summer book if you can take vacations because of work of anything, because it makes you feel like you're going along with the main character into a beautiful house in the mountains, to paint in a canvas without any rush, to read, to listen to music, to experience a romance, and to meet a lot of very nice town folks. It is a very relaxing read for the most part, but it still has a conflict, it still has a plot. Our main character divorces his wife and goes to live in the mountains in this house that belongs to his friend's dad, who is old and sick and is being taken care of somewhere else. There he meets new people and something supernatural seems to start bothering him. I don't want to say much because spoiling the mystery itself doesn't really help me talk about the book or its themes. This novel is about a man's emotional healing process through art and through the understanding of history and the history of the life of others around him. He's a man who paints portraits for a living, but then he decides to paint whatever he wants, however he wants. And he finds a freedom in painting that way. When he does a portrait, he managed to bring out the truth in people, their true selves in a poetic sense. And it is set in this beautiful place where the book managed to, mentally transport you. If you're not in the mood for something relaxing or that goes at a very organic pace, don't even touch this book, it's not for you. Now for the heavy spoiler territory. Our guy finds a painting done by the father of his friend, the true owner of the house, and after a series of events, one of the characters of the painting, the Commendatore, turns to life, in the same pocket size that he was in the painting. And the point of that is that he's an idea. That character in the painting, depicting a whole scene with various characters, is a metaphor for something, an allegory. And the point of this whole novel is that each person that is able to see this little character sees him in a different way, in a different shape. For example, if you were to encounter the idea of attractiveness itself or the idea of intelligence in the real world, they will appear to you as people that you think were attractive or intelligent. But the person next to you will see completely different people according to who he or she thinks represents beauty or intelligence. So these kind of allegoric characters are perceived according to the subjectivity of the people that is looking. So the book explores these concepts and it's very interesting and it goes mostly great. And then in the third act, the book takes a very radical left turn. It goes into a completely different direction after a scene that takes place in a hospital. So the whole third act is completely different from the rest of the book. And as a Murakami fan, this is kind of hard to admit, but I think that the plot twist here was kind of a mistake. So the story goes pretty much as I've been telling you. The weirdest thing in the whole book is the Commendatore manifesting himself into the material world. And then, in this hospital scene, our main character goes into a portal to the world of ideas, which is a weird abstract place because he's looking for a girl that has gone missing, and he's told that he has to go there to find her and get her back. So he walks across this land for many chapters, and then he gets into a tunnel and ends up in reality again in a hole in his backyard. And then they found him, and they told him that days ago he vanished from the hospital room, that there was no way out and there's no possible way that he could have gotten out without being seen. And it's never explained, and we just have to assume that the idea world was 100% real, even when it was meant to be metaphorical. It's really odd, and kinda breaks the pace of the story a little bit. And then the missing girl just shows up. She was gone because she was in her own personal adventure, unrelated to any of this. And then our protagonist goes back to the city where he belongs to get together with his ex-wife, mostly forgetting all about the kind town folks he met along the way. There's something really cryptic about the endings in Murakami's books. I don't even have a theory of what this one is about. I understand that he was in a world of ideas, in a sort of process of personal growth and healing, and I assume that the world of ideas was just real, because there's no other way to explain how he got teleported from the hospital to his own backyard. But how that was related to finding the missing girl? She just comes back on her own, even when he's told that he has to go to the world of ideas to find her. What's very shocking is the fact that we have been for a long time in a story about painting in a mountain with a few magical realism moments, and suddenly our protagonist is teleported out of the blue to this abstract world of ideas. And that is a place that we are introduced to right at that moment. And then he just leaves the mountain and goes back to his city. I look back at this book and I think of Dance, 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 a book that Murakami wrote decades before killing Commendatore. The protagonist there is an older male making friends with a young girl, becoming almost like a big brother or a father figure, just to live forever moments before the story is over. Maybe we need those characters to get the story going, but in the end we don't want to give the idea that it's okay to spend too much time with these girls that the protagonists are not related to. And I think that what is weird about this message is the way that both of those relationships, both in this book and in Dance, 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 it's like they run away from those girls in the most dismissive way possible, as if they were suddenly aware that the story was coming to an end, and they didn't want the audience to think that the happy ending was somehow related to staying friends with those girls. But that dismissiveness, that urgency to suddenly not look like weirdos, it makes them look like assholes. Because we're getting the story in first person singular from the point of view of the protagonist. We know our main characters are neither weirdos or assholes, but their behavior, it becomes really weird in the end. Anyways, this is a very minor critique in what is otherwise a great book, a fantastic experience. If you don't mind that the third act of the book it's not on par with the first two acts, it's a really wonderful read and I will definitely read it again this summer. You can get Killing Commendatore pretty much anywhere where good books are sold. If you want to support this podcast or you just like cool t-shirts or coffee mugs or art prints, we've got a few digital stores where you can find all of that and more, featuring the cover artwork for this episode, inspired by Killing Commendatore. There will be one design for each episode release of this podcast.